Welcome to another edition of our Thursday night's class. It's nice to be back. I hope you all had a very uplifting Chanukah. And the Ashparot of Chanukah should light up our entire year, Bezat Hashem, B'simcha Gdolah. First of all, an important announcement. Not this Shabbat, next Shabbat, Leminyanam, New Year's weekend. We are having a Shabbaton. I'm sure you all saw it on the WhatsApps and everything else. I looked over the list of the guys and girls that enrolled. There's a lot of your names that are missing over there. So if before the end of the night you correct that, it wouldn't be a bad idea. We put a lot of effort into this, and we subsidize it drastically to make it affordable for everybody. And we do it that it should be a Kiddush Hashem. This is a long one. Normally when we do them, they start Friday and end either Saturday night or Sunday morning, because New Year's is Sunday night, so it's an extended weekend for most people. So this one's going until Monday morning. So it's rare that you have 3 days to hopefully have a good time, and L'Havdil to have a good spiritual time as well. So Marina Baruch is going to be here later, or you call her and sign up by her. It would be very worthwhile. Men, women, singles, everybody. We don't discriminate, everybody's welcome. Bezrat Hashem. I was going to speak about one very specific thing tonight, but then with the great news of yesterday, so we're going to have to blend two opposite extremes. Yesterday was an amazing day of Simcha by Am Yisrael, and it was a much greater day of Simcha by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'll explain exactly what I mean. There was a Jew who has done so much for the Jewish nation throughout the years. I call him Rabbi Rubashkin because of his zchuyot that he had, who sat in prison for crazy reasons that make no sense. Even the greatest legal analysts of the world say it makes no sense. And he was supposed to be there for 27 years. They threw the book at him. And he was in prison for over 8 years. And our previous president, I guess his Muslim religion didn't allow him to pardon a guy who's sitting in prison for no reason. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped that a year ago we have a different president that was elected, that's less scared of being politically correct, or actually thrives off of being politically incorrect. And that's why he did it. And if the only reason why he was elected was to pardon this gentleman and let him out of prison, it was worth the entire presidency. Literally. That's not an exaggeration. So of course it's a big simcha for himself, right? He's back united with his family. It's a big simcha for hundreds of thousands, literally, of Jews that for 8 years straight mention him in their prayers every single day. The amount of tefillot that Am Yisrael prayed for this man, I don't know if in history there was ever such a thing for one person, so many people pray. My children, there was every day, every school, every place, every day, Tehillim, that he should come out of jail healthy, happy, sane, early, and all the blessings happened. Exactly what Am Yisrael prayed for happened. But it's a lot deeper than that. And I'm going to be a little politically incorrect for the sake of understanding what a Kiddush Hashem this is. Rubashkin is a Lubavitcher. He belongs to the Chabad sect. Today in the morning, I got pictures from one of the shuls in Lakewood that I'm affiliated with, because I wasn't in Lakewood this morning. That's a Satmar shul. Satmar and Lubavitch are not, let's just say, they normally don't do shidduchim together. That's, for whatever reasons, they have different ideologies, and normally they don't. And this morning, if you would have seen the amount of alcohol and the amount of cakes and party that they threw in shul, in the Satmar shul, as a thank you to Hashem that the Lubavitch Rubashkin was released, that was Hashem's happiest moment. The achdut, the unity that this story brought in Am Yisrael, that everybody teamed up for one cause and one person, even though he didn't belong to their sects, and even though maybe some of the sects didn't get along with the sect that he belonged to, But everybody put everything aside, and there was one and only one focus. That they wanted to see this man free and out. But Hashem, when He sees Am Yisrael getting together like that in such a strong way, it does very, very big things in Shamayim, and who knows what protection and blessing this brings to Am Yisrael. So really yesterday, and today also, because today is a lot of the celebrations what's going on, it's a real Yom Tov for Am Yisrael. It's an extension to Chanukah. It's a real Yom Tov. But it's more than that. He was released on Zot Chanukah. Zot Chanukah, we spoke 2 weeks ago, Adon HaNiflaot. That's the day that the rules of nature don't work, don't apply. So some stupid judge, Yimach Shema V'Shem Zichra, put him in prison for 27 years. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said otherwise. When on Zot Chanukah? Because he wanted to make a point. That Tefillot of Am Yisrael on Zot Chanukah, we see the results. Me'eit Hashem Haita Zot. This is a big, big day for Am Yisrael. Hi niflad beineinu. It's a davar pele. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help that all Asirei Am Yisrael should get out of prison happy and healthy, karov, and they should all be able to say the same Hagomel that he was able to say this morning, Be'ez Hashem. It's a great, great thing. This is a mind-boggling thing. The unity, the celebration. Last night in Lakewood, I wasn't there, but I got the video feeds and the pictures and the reports from friends. The random celebrations and places. A guy told me he was going shopping innocently in a grocery store. He said in the middle of the supermarket, as soon as they heard the news, I think it was 4 or 5 in the evening when people heard the news, naturally, all the men got together, they started dancing in the middle of the supermarket. Dancing, physically dancing. They said, the guy sent me a video. He says, look at all your friends dancing. He said, what are they dancing for? This somebody else's simcha. You know what Kiddush Hashem that is? You know that doesn't Shamayim when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees Am Yisrael get along like that? And one person being Sameach b'simchat chavero. It's the... Any words we'll use will be downplaying what we should express gratitude to Borei Olam. And we daven King Yitenu Chen Yosef. First of all, there should never be a situation that a Jew goes to prison. And those who are, Be'ez Hashem, should all come out happy, healthy, and safe. This man is also a great tzaddik on many fronts. And there's one part that I'll talk about soon that has to do with the parasha. It's not a coincidence what's going on over here. But there's one part that years ago, a gentleman who is very close to me, and we do a lot of tzedakot together, told me himself. They were in the meat business, and it was 3 days before Pesach. And 3 days before Pesach in the meat business is very busy, and there's always a shortage of kosher meat, right? Pesach, everybody buys, there's only that many cows, you're going to get kosher. His father ran a retail store. He was more on the wholesale end, his father ran a retail store. And my friend is involved with a lot of our food distributions. And we were short a lot of meat. I don't remember the exact number, so I don't want to make up a number, but my friend, I'm sure, remembers the exact number. And at night, he said that it worked out. And I asked him how. He said, don't ask, it's fine, it worked out. Okay, worked out. When Rabbi Rubashki went to prison, this guy called me and told me the back end of the story. He said, I went into Rubashkin, and I told him I have kolo guys that we have to feed, and we're short meat to give them. What do we do? And he said, wait 2 minutes. He took there were 1 or 2 customers that were in the store then. There's 3 days before Pesach. He locked the door of the store. He put up a sign, sorry, we're closed. And he said, take everything that's in the store. How many people, in their busiest season that they have, would shut their store? That means he's out of business now until New Shechita comes in, which could be Chol HaMoed or after. Would shut their store down and say, just take it all. This is what my friend told me. He said, I went to him and said, I don't want to tell you then because you would say this is crazy. But those are the facts. This is the way it happened. And it's no pella that the Yetzer Hara had to fight a guy like that to such an extreme. Somebody who's such a Baal Chesed, how can you let him survive? You have to fight him, so you fought him. But thank God today is a day of the victory of the Yetzer Tov over the Yetzer Hara, and that victory should last in every way forever. So that was what I'm happy to talk about, but I wasn't thinking of. The part that I feel very obligated to talk about on many fronts is to the opposite extreme, L'havdil, the tragic loss that Am Yisrael lost 10 days ago with the passing of our Gdol Ador, Maran Rav Shteiman, Zechet Tzadik V'Kadosh L'Vracha, Zchutay Yagen Aleinu. 104 years of Torah. The last time we were able to say 104 years of Torah was on Rav Shach. 104 years of Torah. And Am Yisrael lost its greatest Torah giant of the generation. Where's the insanity? That people say, he was old, what do you want? And honestly saying that is literally atheism. Tzaddikim are not bound to the rules of nature. They're not bound to age. Because Baruch Hu leaves a tzaddik in the world as long as Am Yisrael deserves him. And the day Am Yisrael doesn't deserve him anymore, Baruch Hu takes him from the world. And that's what it depends on. And that's why, for example, Chazal say that when somebody's sick, we have to pray for him, and Bim Talmid Chachamu, if he's a Torah sage, he should become sick over it. He should become sick, what are we going to gain? So now we have two sick people, it's bad enough that he's sick. So one of them, Fashim, say a brilliant pshat. He says, not only from the tzad that the Talmid Chacham sick. That's also true, maybe. But why is the Talmid Chacham sick? Because you don't deserve to have him healthy. So look at your situation. That's the Rav Yaakov Yagen. That means Rav Shteiman was 104. That doesn't mean, okay, so he was 104 and he died. That means oy vey that he died at 104. Because if he would have had the schut, he would have been 105, 6, 7, 10, 20. Tzaddikim don't have a limit. There's no age cap to the life of tzaddikim. Katonti, I'm way, to talk about Shteiman, who am I? And so I don't have much to say. Also, it wasn't like Rav Shach that I had the schut to be Mishamesh for a long time. Unfortunately, I didn't have the schut to be Mishamesh of Shteiman for much. I had a few cute incidents with him and stories. Rav Shteiman was very sharp and shrewd in his answers and things. But beyond that, I didn't. But I had many friends that did have that merit. And so a little bit of a glimpse through them I was able to get. And a lot through the Sfarim HaKadoshim that he wrote throughout his life, which two of them actually gave me as a gift himself, that I was able to learn to just get a tiny microscopic glimpse into the brilliance and greatness of this man. One of the things that stand out so much when we talk about Rav Shteiman is the way he lived. This was the leader of Am Yisrael. If he would have said that he wants a $20 million home, people would have fought to have it for him in 24 hours, the fastest physically possible to do. If he would have said he wanted anything, a helicopter, to take him from one place to another, he would have had it. There was no limit to what anybody would do to have the schut to give something to Rav Shteiman. But instead, he chose to own the same chair for 70 years. And this chair was a very unique chair. It didn't have armrests, and it didn't have a back. It was a stool. Not only that, he didn't let them paint it. We have to change our kitchen every 5 years. Right? Yeah, a new style came out. It used to be white, now it's gray, then it's this, and I don't know what's coming next, but if not, oy vey. $70 years. Nothing. Say one word. And you don't think there were people that wanted to fix his house? His grandchildren begged him, let us paint. Leave everything as is. He used to tell them, I don't like changes, I don't need it, I don't want it, leave it alone. He didn't let them do a thing. He was able to detach himself from Olam Hazeh in a way that we can't understand. And the way he was, and just on a medical perspective, and those of you who are in the profession will appreciate this even more. Rav Shteiman passed away approximately, I don't know the exact number, because depending which medical report you've seen in the past 2 years, but somewhere between 62 and 66 pounds. How does a person live to 104 weighing 66 pounds? How's that possible? His own doctors said there's no scientific way to explain this thing. This is a phenomenon. His breakfast was the same for tens of years straight. He ate a little bit in Hebrew, they call it daisa, let's call it oatmeal or something like that. And he drank whatever it was, and that was it, and the whole day he didn't eat. And only at night he ate again another tiny amount. He said, because if he eats more, then his body's going to have more needs and more of that. What does he need it for? He wants to learn. It's a waste of time. And this man was able to live until 104 under those circumstances. And not to live a sick life. He was healthy most of his life. It's like he had his medical complications throughout the years, but nothing, nothing extreme at all. A lot of us that go to the gym too many times a week, can't say at 25 that we're as healthy as Rav Shtema was at 100. It means he defied the laws of nature in every way, shape, and form. And Am Yisrael had a merit to witness it year after year, day after day, month after month, to see it live, no stories. And with all of that, and with his age, his Mesilut Nefesh that he had for Am Yisrael knew no bounds. Most of you are too young to remember, but when you were about newborns, Rav Shtema, with all his age, got on a plane and came to America and spent time here, a lot of time here relatively to his way of calculating time, just to be mechazik Jews. More recently, he was in France and in other places. He traveled all over the world in the past bunch of years, and it was extremely hard for him physically, to the point that on one of his trips, in the morning, they wanted to cancel it because they were scared for his health. And he asked his doctor, he didn't even trust his people to ask, he asked himself, the doctor that he trusted, is it endangering in my life 100% or not? So he said, no, it's just not the wisest choice, but you want to know if it's going to kill you for sure? No. So he said, so I'm going. So his own grandchildren pleaded with him and said, don't do it. You're an old man, you're frail, it's dangerous, don't do it. And he said, why did Hashem give me life if not to be mechazik another Jew? So if I don't go, then what am I alive for? What's the point? Of course I'm going, what's the question? It's a glimpse of an Adam Gadol. Why did Hashem give you life? Because you learned Torah all day and night, that's why. No. You slept 2 hours a night. What was the last night that you slept 2 hours? Most of you are 30 or under. And how did you behave the next day after sleeping 2 hours? I don't want to know. Plead the fifth, please. He didn't allow himself to sleep more than 2 hours a night. He took a nap during the day also, that's true, but he didn't allow himself to sleep more than 2 hours a night. He said, why? It's a waste of time. I could be learning. He said, during the evening, people bother me. They come to the house, whatever. He said, middle of the night, nobody comes. It's quiet. I could learn. He jumped out of bed like a lion every night to sit and learn. And his Ahavat Torah knew no bounds. And his knowledge in Torah obviously knew no bounds as a result. But his love for Torah knew no bounds. When his entourage that flew with him from Israel to America, I don't remember the exact amount of years, but I think it's 17 years ago, one of them witnessed, his name was Rav Levenstein, he's not alive anymore, that they all on the plane went to sleep. And not only did they go to sleep, they were sitting in economy or in business class. Or Shteyman, of course, they put them into first class. If they were all in their 40s and 50s. Shteyman was in the 90s, 85, 90, that range. So you would think that the old man would be sleeping right away, and they would be awake the whole flight, because they're uncomfortable. Shteyman sat and learned the entire flight, didn't doze off even for a minute, and they slept the entire flight. And when they said over the story, embarrassed, like, look at the difference. The one who should be sleeping and has the comfort to sleep is wide awake, and the ones who shouldn't be sleeping are deep asleep. But the emet is always like that. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah. The Talmidei Chachamim always looking to learn more. I know enough. I don't have to learn. Leave me alone. The rabbi will tell me what I need to know, and that's enough for me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvarav. But this is a glimpse in greatness. Rabban Kotler, Mishnah Rabban writes, Agad espeda diluye, the reward for saying a eulogy, and this is not a eulogy of Shteyman wrote in his tzavah, he doesn't want eulogies, is diluye. Diluye means you have water in a well, you take a bucket and stick it in to pull it out. That's later what the meaning of diluye means. So Rabban says, what does a well have to do with a tzaddik passing away? So Rabban explains the Mishnah Rabban very simple. He says that a tzaddik doesn't need people. They were in here. Should be around. They're on the back. A tzaddik doesn't need people to talk about him. Hashem's talking about him plenty in Shemayim. Rav Yaakov Yagen came to greet him. He doesn't need us to talk about him. He says the idea of talking about a tzaddik when he passes away is that Hashem leaves in the world the blessing and the influence of the tzaddik, and anybody who wants can pull from that be'er mayim chayim one of the midot, one of the character traits, one of the zchuyot of that tzaddik and make it him. Because now we have to replace the void. So The reason to talk about a tzaddik is to learn from it, is to take from it something, is to grow from it. Rav Shteinman's anava, his humility knew no bounds. A man of such magnitude, to be so humble in every way, shape, and form, I don't know how you can even describe it in words. There are no words to describe it, that's the real answer. When he came to America with the Ger Rebbe, for example, that I saw, that's why I'm using this example, but I'm sure there's millions of examples. The Ger Rebbe was younger than him and everything, healthier than him. And people witnessed him holding things for the Ger Rebbe, handing him things, practically serving him. And the Ger Rebbe was embarrassed. And he kept on trying to get his Gabayim to stop it. And Shteinman insisted, what do you mean? But you're a respectable rabbi, Kvod Torah. It's a schut to serve you. That's what he said. It's a schut to serve you. The Gdol Ador, it's a schut to serve. Not that the Ger Rebbe is not a tzaddik, he's a huge tzaddik, but still, let's put, after all, age is a factor in Torah, he had more years to learn. And it was such a Kiddush Hashem that Am Yisrael saw how Gdolei Yisrael respect each other. Halavai that the young generation should emulate those ways and learn to respect each other in the way that Hashem would be a lot happier with. Shteinman held Am Yisrael for many years. And he did it against all odds. And I want to explain you what I mean and tell you a very, very sharp word from the Sloner Rebbe, the Tivot Shalom Zetzal, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu, that would categorize so well what I mean against the odds. In this week's parasha we learn, because Baruch Hu sends Yaakov Avinu sends Yehuda to Goshen before he goes down to Egypt. Why? For the purpose of building a yeshiva. ואת יהודה שלח להורות לפניו גושנה. What does Rashi say? להורות לפניו, לתקן לו בית תלמוד, to build a yeshiva. שמשם תצא הוראה. That from there, Klal Yisrael will have Torah. So the Mfashim on this ask, who was the one amongst the 12 tribes that was considered the pillar of Torah? Yisachar. Yisachar, he was the one who was the pillar of Torah. So if Yaakov Avinu wants to send somebody to build a yeshiva, who should he send? Yisachar. That's the biggest Rosh Yeshiva that you could have. Why did he pick Yehuda to be the Rosh Yeshiva and not Yisachar? This is what the Mefashim ask. Unbelievable question. So Tivot Shalom says an amazing pshat. He says that in order to open a yeshiva, it's not only to be a Talmid Chacham. You have to have the strength, physically and emotionally, to withstand your critics and your enemies. A regular yeshiva opens the yeshiva, and a few weeks later somebody doesn't like him and says something about him, he quits. He doesn't have the strength to continue. Comes in the Sivas Shalom and says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Yehuda, gave Nevuat Yaakov Avinu to send Yehuda. He said, because even in Goshen, we may have issues. Let's take Yehuda. Yehuda is the strongest. He's the one that will be able to withstand all the tests. Gur Aryeh Yehuda. Yehuda was nimshal to a lion. You need a lion to be able to be a leader. And this is not only in Gashmiut, this is called Achom and Ruchaniyut, when there's disagreements on an approach in a spiritual way of going about things. Kama ra'ui advarim, how worthy are these words to say about Rav Shteinman? I want to talk about the not so glorious part of his life, because I think that's his greatest glory. He had many enemies. He had many critics. He had many that said terrible things about him. I remember when he came to Lakewood almost 18 years ago, there were idiots that had nothing to do with their life, and I'm purposely using very harsh words, that threw papers all over the streets. They didn't even write Harav Shteinman. They wrote about him the nastiest things in the world. And lo zav velo chat. He never said, what do I need this for? What do I need to be slandered for? Let me run away from the public eye. That was a real Yehuda, according to the Sloan or whatever. That's why he was a real leader. Nothing ever fazed him. Down to his last day, until today in Israel, there's people that, accused him of tragic things, which were the opposite extreme of everything he did his whole life. And nothing. But not only that, it gets better. I witnessed with my own eyes once, this was one of the few things that I witnessed, an amazing story. I once went into Rav Shteinman, and I don't know what to call for a blessing, more for advice. I told him, Rabbi, I'm in the public eye, I deal a lot with people that are going through hard times in life, and I have a lot of opinions that are out of the box. And I told them what they were, very specifically, one to one. And I said, of course, that brings a lot of critics. People don't know how to deal with it. What is this? How could you give advice like that? It's crazy, it's against the Torah, it's this, it's that. Some people took it as far as going to Mormons to bring proof against my opinion. Instead, we have the Chumash and we have a Mormon, so we'll take a Mormon over the Chumash. After the Pume. I said, what do you think? What should I do? How should I go about it? Rav Steinman didn't like talking a lot. He didn't elaborate on words. He normally answered you one sharp answer. That was the only time out of all the times I was by him, and I wasn't by him that many times, I'm saying clearly. He spent a long period of time with me. I think it was 17 or 18 minutes straight. And he started telling me all the people that are attacking him and why they're attacking him. Without names, but incidents. And he said, learn from me. I said, what should I learn from you? He said, I have an army behind me, right? Most of Am Yisrael considers themselves my students, directly or indirectly. And I never let anybody respond. Stay quiet and continue. And he said, and then he ended off with the best blessing you can get. And he said, if you'll do it that way, you'll get very far. It's the best blessing a person can get. In Adam Gadol, he had so many cheshbonot l'shem shamayim, Kvod HaTorah. He should have said, guys, put an end to this. Where's Kvod HaTorah? 100-year-old rabbi, people disrespecting him? Put an end to it. Quiet. To the point that when he heard at times that different people wrote articles to respond or to do different things to protect his kavod, he called them in and yelled at them. Did you get my permission to do such a thing? And then he would add on, what's wrong with a little bit of embarrassment in this world? It's good, it's kaparat avonot. It gives you a forgiveness for Olam Haba. By us, if one person doesn't say good morning to us the way we wanted them to smile, then the world comes to an end already. The guy said one little comment by a Friday night table, a whole family could fall apart there. And the Gdol Ador, that's why he was the Gdol Ador, understood that just go with the emet, go with the right thing. And so they said, and therefore what? And he built a generation of Talmidei Yeshiva. Look how many more Talmidei Yeshiva there are in Olam HaYeshivot in Israel since Rav Shach passed away until he's alive. Rav Shach was the leader of the Olam HaYeshivot, and then he took over. So the Olam HaYeshivot in Israel practically doubled from the time Rav Shach passed away until now. That means he did something right over there. And the truth spoke for itself. The success spoke for itself. Kept the Olam HaYeshivot in the greatest way. And this is a great, great gadlut, but this only comes from being Yehuda, from being a lion. And from now, from going with the truth and going with it all the way. Ponovitch Rav added on, by the way, to this Netivot Shalom's idea, a very sharp thing that was very befitting for the Ponovitch Rav. When the Ponovitch Rav built Ponovitch, right, it was after World War II, there was no money. He used to go around the world to raise money, and most of the yeshiva initially was built from loans. He had to take a lot of loans. So people lent him money because they trusted him. But he would sign a personal guarantor. It wasn't on the company's name, and the company went bankrupt. He was a personal guarantor for each and every loan that he took for the yeshiva. This idea of being a guarantor, where does it say the first time in the Torah about somebody? Yehuda. Yehuda told his father when he took Binyamin down to Egypt, I'm the guarantor that I'm going to bring this kid back to you. And Chazal say he paid for a heavy price. He wasn't let into Gan Eden for a while also because he didn't bring him back. Yaakov Avinu came down to Israel, whatever. So the Ponovitch Rav said, in order to build the yeshiva, the first thing they have to be willing to do is to be a guarantor, is to take loans and not to be scared, but to expand and to grow. And that was another thing that once Rav Shteiman told me. I once asked him, it was before Purim, and we were going on one of our yearly food drives and helping out people. I told him, Rabbi, we didn't even raise half the money that we need. What should I do? He said, borrow money. I said, but how do I know I'm going to be able to pay it back? And he said, the Ponovitch Rav said, in order to build Torah, there's only one way, to be an Arev. He said, take an equity loan on your house if you have to. Do what you got to do. We'll make sure that the people who need have. Avdecha Arev v'lenar. The arvut for Am Yisrael, to feel enough of a need that somebody else should have what he needs, to take a loan to help the other person. Shteiman was an arev with his life. He risked his life. He drained himself to the point that he put himself in medical dangers time after time again, just to help another yeshiva grow, just to help another cause succeed, for anything that would help, for anything. What's the amazing thing? He did for the whole world, except for himself and his family. He was the best family man, but I mean financially. If there was a guy who needed to get married and they needed money, he would make a phone call. If there was a yeshiva that was about to close, we needed to bail him out, he would write a letter, he would make phone calls. But if his grandson needed to get married, he would never say a word. He said, because there I'm not biased, so I know it's L'Shem Shamayim. Here I'm biased, it's my child. I can't. How pure of a person does somebody have to be to raise tens and tens of millions? One very wealthy person from Muncie told me on the phone last week that he knows for a fact that it's hundreds of millions, not just tens of millions, of dollars for charity, and to never think of helping any of his own that deserve the help. Not in a fake way, in a real way. How selfless of a person does somebody have to be? When it came to yeshivot, I once had a first cousin in Israel who was having a hard time getting into yeshiva. Rav Shteiman himself called the Rosh Yeshiva to get the boy in. And when I left the house, one of the Gabayim told me, that once we had a situation with one of the close people in the house, and he told the person, I'm so sorry I can't call for you because I'm biased. Maybe the reason why I'm doing it is not because I really care about your kid, it's because you drive me and I get pleasure from you, so it's not real, it's not pure. Go to this and this rabbi, he'll do it for you instead. How pure you have to be able to pick up a call in a second for somebody else, when you think you're biased to it, suddenly to stand back. Halavai. In Am Yisrael today, we should have people like that to continue. And Do Dov Shav, there's a promise in Chazal that if one passed away, we have the next. And Bli Ayin Hara, Lo Alman Yisrael. We have great Gdolei Yisrael. I'm not here to go giving ratings to Gdolim, that's why I'm not going to utilize many names, but I will utilize one. Rav Gershon Edelstein Shlita, who took over the Anaga of Am Yisrael today, the Gdol Ador. We had the schut like Baomer, because of my friend over here, Rav Yaakov, who hooked us up to go into Rav Gershon Edelstein. That's the Gdol Ador today, who took over from Rav Shteiman. I'm saying that's what Chaim crowned him, I guess. I don't know. That's pretty much the deciding factor. It's worth looking, now they already posted it on YouTube, up the clips of the question and answer sessions that were done with Rav Shteiman about parenting. Maybe then you'll see where I got my parenting ideas from. Countless examples. Countless examples. Once Rav Shteiman was asked, you could see this on video, that the girls are under a lot of pressure because in Israel it's like a status thing in Shidduchim that you're a teacher. If you have a job somewhere else, so that's like second class. If you're a teacher, even though you don't make money, but it's like a status thing, you're able to be a teacher. He said, if there's a girl that she's in Shidduchim, but the teacher's going to work against her maybe because she wants a husband to Talmid Chacham, is it okay to tell her to do something else? So what would we expect? Rav Shteiman should give the Emunah speech, right? Where's Emunah? No, Rav Shteiman was a very practical man. He only gave Emunah speeches to people who he thought are on that level. And when he realized they weren't on that level, because that's the question, he didn't give that speech. He said, actually, Al Pi Halacha, girls don't have to learn Torah in the first place. So if we'll have a few less teachers, it'll be a good thing. The kids will have a little less homework at night. It's good for them. Imagine today somebody got up and said that in New York. He would be stoned the next day. Another guy's going to go and say, in public school they have teachers. That would be the proof. Adam Gadol wasn't scared to say it as it is. Yeah, girls not having Talmud Torah. She has to learn her halachot, hashkafa, so on. But, okay, so we'll have a few less teachers. Maybe they'll learn a few less periods a day. They won't have 4 hours of homework every night. And they'll be able to be normal girls. Instead of being stressed all the time and having this pressure, getting very high marks. One of my favorite stories about Rav Shteiman, this I heard secondhand, was there's a guy, an Israeli boy, a Ponovitcher, who married an American girl from Brooklyn. They live in Israel, Bnei Brak. His in-laws are extremely wealthy. The father-in-law said the story over. His father-in-law wanted to give him a gift for his 10th anniversary. So he sent them to Israel, a private import, of a Toyota Sienna, fully loaded Toyota Sienna. In Israel, having a fully loaded Toyota Sienna is like by us having a Maybach, pretty much. I don't think that's an exaggeration, by the way. It definitely is more or less the same price. If you like what you would pay there for that and what you pay here. Just the tax alone is 130% on it, besides for everything else. He's a Kola guy, and he didn't want it. He was embarrassed. Halavai, we should have problems like that we've been embarrassed to drive fancy cars. He was embarrassed. He didn't want it. So he told his wife he's going to politely send it back to America or sell it and give his father-in-law the money. But whatever, but we're a Kola family. It's not for us. His wife said that her father would get very, very insulted because this was a surprise for them, and he put effort into it, into doing all the paperwork and getting it shipped to Israel and this and that, and prepaying their tax in Israel because they live in Israel, so they have to pay the tax on it. Yeah. You're going to go send it back. It's going to hurt his feelings. So you have to ask an Adam Gadol. So he asked her, which Adam Gadol do you agree that I should ask? So she said Rav Shteiman. Why did she say Rav Shteiman? She later on admitted, based on what her father-in-law said over, because she knew Rav Shteiman was the man who lived simplest out of all the rabbis alive. So she said he's for sure going to say that, it's the most objective person, because sure, if he really thinks no, he'll for sure say it, because he lives the simplest life in the world. So the guy went into Rav Shteiman and he told him the story. And so Rav Shteiman told him, what are you scared of? He said, I'm scared. I'm a Kola family. He said, and therefore what? There's no halakha that says a Kola family should live poor. Baruch Hashem, you were blessed. You have a rich father-in-law. He bought you a nice car. What's the problem? So he told him, what about motarot, extras, He said, so your wife will enjoy it, not you. If you're so scared, don't be a tzaddik on your wife's cheshbon. Whenever I want to see what the situation of somebody's shalom bayit is, one of the first things I do is look at the guy's watch, and then I ask him what type of watch does your wife wear. If he's wearing a $20,000 watch, and his wife's wearing a $45 watch, then I know we have to say some tehillim for them. But if it's the opposite way around, then I know we're in good shape. He's not embarrassed to wear something more than his wife, then we have a serious problem. Unless some ladies are big tzidkaniyot and on the level of that they don't want these things for whatever reason, fine, it's different. But in general. So then he came to Rav Shteiman with a new case, right? Because he had an agenda, he didn't want to keep the car. So he tells Rav Shteiman, I'm scared of Ayin Hara. Okay, I think we're all Sephardic, most of us are Sephardic, yeah, we understand that, right? We're superstitious about Ayin Hara. For some reason, when it comes to big houses and fancy cars, we're not. But in everything else, we say we're scared of Ayin Hara. Somebody asked me today, this happens every day, can you do me a favor, do a lachash for me for Ayin Hara? So I said, sure. So he said, do I have to pay you? I said, no, all my services are free. He said, when are you going to do it? I said, I'm coming to your house right now. No, right now, 5-10 minutes, I'll take care of it. He said, what do you mean take care of it? I said, just give me your car keys. He said, what does that mean? I said, I'm taking your car. I said, you're asking me for a lachash for Ayin Hara, you're driving a $125,000 car. How does that work together? You bring it on yourself and then you ask to get out of it? So give up the car, show that you don't want to have it, and then we'll talk about the lachash for Ayin Hara. But until then, what do you want from me? So he thought he'll use the Ayin Hara case, that's going to work. And listen to what an Adam Gadol answers him. He says, where does Ayin Hara come from? Jealous. If somebody's not jealous, there's no Ayin Hara. The person's jealous, so he has a bad eye on somebody else. So he told him, you know Shas? He said, no. Half of Shas you know by heart? He said, no. What about Shulchan Aruch? That you know by heart? No. The whole Mishnah Berurah, at least, you could say word for word? No. He said, my friend, you have nothing to be scared of Ayin Hara. It's impossible to be jealous of a person like you. You understand the look of an Adam Gadol? You don't know Shas by heart, what's there to be jealous of? To Rav Shteiman, a car was a technical issue of 4 wheels that got you from point A to point B. He didn't understand anything beyond that. Because he didn't want to understand anything beyond that. His child witnessed that he never knew the name of a food. The only way he knew how to categorize foods was this is mizonot, this is adamah, this is shakol. That's the only thing he knew. How do you eat and not know what you're eating? Because it didn't make a difference. He took himself away from the entire olam hazeh and put himself in the highest place in Gan Eden. But there's another part. If we would have to say, what's the hardest thing that the hardest test a person can face in this world today? So probably, if we took a survey around the room now, each person would give a different answer, I would assume. One guy would say Lashon Hara. The next one would say keeping Shabbat. Still, some people don't understand they have to keep Shabbat. The next one would say putting on tefillin every day. The next one would say, I don't know. Each one would say whatever it is. Girls would probably say tzniut. Each one would say something. The Chazon Ish writes that all those are big tests, but there's a much bigger test than all those. And that's for a person that said something to be able to retract it and say, I made a mistake. I was wrong. He said that is the greatest test that a person can ever face in his life. Because people don't like saying I was wrong. How hard is it to get an apology out of somebody who did something idiotic? They'll justify it in 300 ways. What do you want from me? I was drunk. That's exactly the problem. Why were you drunk in the first place? What do you want from me? I was under stress. That's also the problem. Go learn Sha'ar Bitachon. Don't be under stress. What do you want from me? There's an excuse for everything. One guy told me, I sat with him and his wife. They were fighting like cats and dogs. And I told him, why are you so angry? Calm down a little bit. You can't have a conversation like this. He says, I'm not an angry person at all. I'm the calmest person. She just triggers me. What type of answer is that? What is that? She has a way to creep under my nerves. I said, I know a lot of medications for that. Today the pharmaceutical world has many. It's a large variety. I said, I think you should take one of each maybe. That's the way to talk. You ever saw Gdol Hador raised his voice? You ever saw Talmid Chacham raised his voice? Somebody rubbed your nerves the wrong way. Therefore, Chaim Brisker says an unbelievable thing. He told us to Abishai Weingart, I think. He said that Shiva once came to him and he said he wants a piece of advice how to be successful in his yeshiva. So Chaim told him this. He didn't tell him how to run the yeshiva. He didn't tell him what time to start, to finish, what to do, or not. Nothing. Told him one thing. He said, Shiva has to know that even if he sat many days to prepare his shiur that he's giving, and he had an amazing shiur prepared, amazing, and there was one student who was not even a good student, who happened to have one sharp question that maybe shakes up the whole idea that he just built for days and days of hard work. That he shouldn't brush him off, and he shouldn't say, I'll get back to you, it's a good question. He should stand up and say, my shiur is no longer valid, I'm done for the day, sorry, and walk down. How many people that are on a podium in front of 500, 600, 700, 800 students are going to step down in the middle of a shiur because of a question of a young boy? You know anybody like that? I knew one, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Actually two, Rav Shach also did it many times. The hardest test, the Chazon Ish writes, that a person has in this world is to say, my way was wrong. And even when a person deep down knows his way is wrong, he'll start with the excuse cycle. Make excuse after excuse and bring the most distorted proofs and whatever to prove that he's right, and he'll stick with it, and and if he's a person that is in power, he'll destroy the whole Jewish nation over it. All the big apikosim weren't Amei Haaretz, they were rabbis. They were Talmidei Chachamim, but they couldn't admit that they had the wrong way, the wrong system. And when they couldn't admit to it, their whole Torah was lost. That's how the Yetzer Hara got that. Because they stuck with that false way of doing things forever. It takes great strength for a person to be able to get up in the middle on something that he worked on. I was wrong. Now imagine that a person invested years and years of his life into building an organization for whatever cause. And 10 years down the line, he realizes that there are other causes that are so much more important, and therefore his energy should be diverted into something else. You know what a test that is? To close down and say, we're going to start all over again and do what's more important now? You know what a test that is? There's no doubt in halakha today, and we have a psak from Rav Wosner like that, and from many other Gedolei Olam. Rav Wosner's not alive anymore, Rav Yashav's not alive anymore, but many that are alive as well, that the importance of building buildings, even if we call them Torah centers, on the list of important things in Klal Yisrael for charity, is below the bottom. We have enough buildings. We don't need any more structures. And if a guy wants to open a yeshiva and now he needs to raise money for a building, don't open the yeshiva in the first place. We'll condense a few yeshivot. It'll help all the yeshivot. It'll be financially more affordable. It'll be productive on many fronts. And all the Gdolei Yisrael say that. At the time that the Kol guys starving were building buildings, how does that work? At the time that we have countless kids that are waiting for medical treatments that their parents can't afford the insurance premiums and organizations have to kick in and raise millions of dollars to pay them, we're building buildings. That's what's important now. More marble. That's what's important now. In my life, I never raised money for a building campaign for any cause. And tonight I'm stressing that because people use my name on a campaign and it has nothing to do with me in any shape or form. That, if we're raising money to help kids that are on drugs, kids that are on the street, kids go to rehab, save lives, sick kids, day in, day out, to support Kollel students that don't have how to make Shabbat tomorrow. That's what we're raising money for. Not to put some more marble down and to build a fancier building than the other guy to outdo everybody. That's what we need money for. That's like the least of the causes of charity. Now, of course, if a guy's Mechalel Shabbat b'Fa'esya, we don't want to use his money for something holy, so it's good. Build buildings, fine. Yeah. Or good. If Trump decides when he's after his presidency is over, he wants to donate $20 million to a Jewish cause, so let's build some fancy yeshiva in Queens. But beyond that, it's a joke, the whole thing. There were times that it was needed. Today, now we have building after building after building, and in Queens we know how many shuls do we have that the seats are not sold out. They're not even at 50% capacity, maybe not even at 20. So now we're going to make a renovation and make it fancier. Why do that? Take that money and invest maybe in a few rabbis over here. Bring some sages in from Israel, some dayanim, some orei hora'ah. Wouldn't that be a much smarter investment to elevate the spiritual level of everybody? It's a trap. It's achshilem b'bnei adam she'einam mu'uganim. The Yitzhara doesn't want people to have a zchut tzedakah, so we make building campaigns all day. So there are cases, schools and that when my son's school was busting out of its gills and they had 800 kids and there was nowhere to put any more kids and they needed to take more kids or whatever it is. Fine, so they built a building. And even then it wasn't done with kol raj gadol and WhatsApps and stories. It was done the right way. They went to the parent body. They said, your kids live here. They learn 8 hours a day. Help out. You can't afford it. So what? It's your kids. Go beyond what you can afford. That would be the ethical way of going about it. But this is amazing. Why won't we pull back from this system? Because we can't say this is wrong. And today there are more critical causes. In Shulchan Aruch it says that for so many causes that we have today that are emergencies, we could sell a Sefer Torah for it even. One guy told me on the phone a few days ago that this year you can't count me in for some charity distribution that we do on Hanukkah. I said, why can't I count you in this year? You lost your money, God forbid? He said, no, because I'm donating 3 Sifrei Torah. I said, I wish the Sifrei Torah were edible. I would give those out. I said, to own 1 Sefer Torah yourself and not to donate it, you could lend it to the shul, but not to donate it. That's a mitzvah doraita, fine. But to donate 3 Sifrei Torah when I have hundreds of kol guys that don't have how to make Shabbat, where's your seichel? Where's your mind? I said, obviously Hashem didn't give you a schus. You have to do soul searching. What are you doing wrong that you don't have the schus? What are you doing wrong? You think he changed his mind? No. Do I blame him? Not either. You know why? Because the hardest thing in the world to do is to say no. He was all excited about this idea and I just busted the bubble. How's he going to say, I'm pulling back? How's he going to say, I'm pulling back? Amazing thing. It's very hard to do already. It's a very, very hard thing to do to say, I'm pulling back. Reb Chaim said like this: who was the one that took the most courage in the world to admit publicly that he was wrong in an embarrassing way also, and to do it in a way that he didn't have to? Yehuda. Yehuda had the incident with Tamar, and even though either he could have denied it, and everybody would have sided with him and not Tamar, or let's say he would have never done that, right? He wouldn't cause Tamar to die, so he could have done it quietly. Could have called the Dayanim secretly and said, guys, there's some story, it doesn't make a difference what the details are. Api halacha, the halacha changes. She doesn't have to be killed. That's it, story over. She's not killed, she's alive, everything's well, and life goes on. Comes up Chaim and says, Yehuda said no, he wanted to teach Am Yisrael forever. What's a lion? Somebody who's not scared to get up in public and say, I was wrong, and I made a mistake, and therefore she's not getting killed. Even when it made him look bad. And that's why Mashiach's coming from Yehuda. Malchut Beit Yehuda. Who's a melech? Who could be a leader? One who gets up and says, I was wrong. When I look for people, that I want to either help out financially or be involved with or whatever, one of the first things I do when I do my due diligence, no, I'm not in the Talmidei Chachamim rating, it's just I'm a businessman, I like investing in Torah giants, is I ask people, when he says a psak halacha, does he ever take it back? Years later, do you ever see him write that I made a mistake and this is a new psak halacha? Or not? And unless I hear yes, doesn't talk to me. Because our Gdolei said, yeah, they weren't scared to say. I thought the halacha was like that and I was wrong. Rav Yaakov Yosef, if you look at his farim that he wrote at a very young age, and look at things that he wrote towards the end of his life, there were many times that he wrote that originally what I wrote wasn't the right halacha. I changed my mind. There's a new psak halacha. And he knew the whole Torah, and he didn't have to do that. That's called an ish emet. Comes up Chaim and he says that's why Yaakov Avinu sent Yehuda to be the Rosh Shiva, because Yaakov Avinu said the only Rosh Shiva that he could have is somebody that could admit to his mistake. So even though Yisachar was greater than him in Torah, but because Yehuda is able to admit to his mistakes, that's why he could be the next Rosh Shiva. That's why he could be the next Gedol Ador. Rav Shach once called my uncle Rav Nissim, Zichronam Livracha, Zchutam Tagen Aleinu, at like 2:30 in the morning, very out of character. Rav Shach didn't call many people in general, but definitely not at 2:30 in the morning, risking waking somebody up, Gezel Shena, whatever. Why did he call him? At 2 in the afternoon, 1 in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon, or something like that, by Mincha time, by Ponovich, Rav Nissim went to the yeshiva to ask Rav Shach a question, an advice on something to do with a seminar. Rav Shach gave him an answer. And at 2:30 in the morning, Rav Shach decided that answer wasn't right. So he didn't wait for the next day. He didn't send a messenger. He didn't say, big deal, what's it going to make a difference? At 2:30 in the morning, he said, this is pikuach nefesh. Every second counts. And he called him. I'm just used to never go to sleep early anyway, so it wasn't like he woke him up. And I used to say, he almost fainted when he got the call. Now the end of the line, Leisha Shach. What? Shach? 2:30, he says, Rabbi, what is it? He said, what I told you today is wrong. Don't listen to me. He says, this is the right thing. How do I know that about Rav Shach on a personal level? Rav Shach once told me like this. Then I didn't understand what he was talking about. I was a troubled teenager at that point in my life. And he was trying to give me chizuk probably. He wanted to encourage me. I'm sure that was his goal. And he told me there'll be a day that you'll be in America and people come to you for advice and you'll give advice. He said, before you give advice, think. And think very well. You know why? Because you have to be 100% sure before you give advice to somebody that after 120, when you're going to face them in Bet Din Shel Mala, that advice will still be valid. And if there's ever a time that you gave advice and you're not 100% sure, call the person and take it back right away. And don't even let a minute go by. Because the more minutes go by, the bigger the yitzhara not to take it back is going to be. In Psak Halacha, I said this once. When I learned Halacha in Lakewood Yeshiva, one of the first things they taught us after we passed our tests was if you're not 100% clear, don't say, I think the Halacha is this, but let me check. Don't say anything. For a very simple reason. Because once you said, I think, you're not going to check nothing. You're going to distort the facts to go with what you think. Because to say I was wrong and the Mishnah Berurah is exactly the opposite of what I said is a very hard test today. I don't know. You don't have to know everything. I don't know. Let me look into it. I don't know. And one of the ways to get to that is that even when you do know, say you don't know a lot of times. It's a good habit. It's a very good habit. I don't know. Have to know everything? I don't know. Ask somebody else. Give me a day, I'll get back to you. It's not urgent. Have to know everything. And not only doesn't that make people respect Torah less, that makes people respect Torah so much more. Because they see that Torah is not a joke. It's not what the rabbis feel, and emotions, and stories, and screaming, and games. And it's real. It's based on pure intellect. When Torah is based on pure intellect, Torah is a kiyum. But the day we start sticking in all the other agendas, and the Torah doesn't have a kiyum anymore. Because when the agenda is over, what's left? That's nothing that you can inherit to the future generations. The Midrash says on the Pasuk by Yehuda when he admitted, Ata yoducha achecha, Midrash says that this Pasuk wasn't only said about Yehuda. Comes the Midrash and says, Lo amru ela keneged tzadikim. This Midrash, I didn't remember by heart. There's not my credit at all. This from the Sefer that we've been quoting from lately a lot. I wish I did. I'm sorry that it's the same Sefer so many times, but I'm in love with the Sefer. Ye'erav nasichi. If you know Lashon HaKodesh, go buy it. This is such a good Sefer. So he quotes this Midrash, Midrash Rabbah. He writes in Parashat Vayechi. Ata yoducha achecha. He says, the Midrash says that this pasuk was said keneged tzadikim, for the righteous people. Why? Shekovshim et Yitzran, that they overcome the Yitzhara. Okay, up to here is no chidush. Umodim b'maasehem, and they admit when they're wrong. Shekol hamodeh b'maasav zocheh l'chayei ha'olam haba. Somebody who admits that he's wrong merits to go to olam haba. And I talk to a boy or a girl, and I tell him, you keep Shabbat? No. Why not? I'm a Jew in my heart. It's good enough. And I tell him like this, Chilul Shabbat is a sin. But the bigger sin was that stupid answer that you just gave. Say, I'm wrong. I'm a Jew, and I have issues, and as a result of my issues, I don't have hakarat tov to God, and therefore I'm a Chalil Shabbat. To give me that dumb excuse of I'm a good person, I don't steal, and all that. I said, guess what? Years ago, my kids, thank God it didn't last for so long, because I'm not into pets in the house, but they brought a goldfish home. He has a good heart, he doesn't steal, he doesn't... Same thing, so you're a goldfish, congratulations. The goldfish Jew. That should be a new term that we make t-shirts like that. That'll be a wake-up call for the youth today. The goldfish Jew. He doesn't kill, he doesn't steal, he doesn't... It's good, it's a good heart. Looks good. Entertains others, makes other people smile. So he's kind also, he's charitable. What could be better? Low cost, doesn't need doctors normally, doesn't that, it's fine. Doesn't need Obamacare, doesn't, no tax breaks, no. It's an easy thing. But at least a person should say, yeah, I know what I'm doing is wrong. But my Yitzhara is big, and maybe Adrabah, give me a good piece of advice how I can get over my Yitzhara. Then we have a productive message. At least we reduce the sin now by half. Because the sin of stupidity is the greatest sin of all. Dafka, to be an idiot. I'm not on that level yet. I don't believe in that. I don't this, I don't that. So for those that say, each person with his truth, you know my answer to that. I take him outside on a night that there's the moon, and I point and I say, what's that? And he tells me the moon, and I say, no, it's not. So he says, so what is it? I said, a banana. The guy looks at me like I'm nuts. He said, each one in his truth. To you, it's the moon. To me, it's a banana. And when somebody tells me, but I wasn't raised in a home that they kept Shabbat. So I tell them, Avraham Avinu wasn't raised that way either. And if we go the way we were raised, we wouldn't have a Jewish nation. Actually, Avraham Avinu's father wasn't supportive of him starting to keep Torah. He threw him into the fire. He wanted to kill his son for it. And he still stayed strong. And that's why we have a Jewish nation. And if we want to have a Jewish nation that's going to continue, we have to continue that strength that Avraham Avinu gave us. I didn't come from that background, and therefore what? But my friends don't do it, and therefore what? Guess what, buddy? Your friends are all broke, so now you want to be broke too? Stupid. And we answer these answers. That's what's embarrassing here. If we wouldn't say it, fine, but we're saying this all the time. These are the excuses. My friends are all doing it. Family does it. Now my tradition, the tradition doesn't come from Hashem, so I'm not sure what tradition it is. Imagine a guy murdered somebody, point blank. They got it on video. There's no questions, no, you don't even need a jury trial. The judge looks at him and says, listen, we got it. Was this self-defense? He says, no. He says, so why'd you do it? So he tells the judge, my father was a murderer. So I keep to the family's tradition. You think he's getting out of jail that way? He's not even getting a pardon at any time. If your excuse for not keeping mitzvot was because your family didn't do it, that makes the crime so much greater. That's the reason? At least concede. There's a big Yetzirah out today, and that's it. And that's the reason. What does your family have to do with anything? Family this, family that, family the other. It's not a joke. And you know, I'm normally very gentle with the way I talk. I'm still trying to keep myself very gentle tonight, even though maybe I crossed the line a little bit. But my doctor, this week, one day, it was an interesting story. And I told him it's really a Rashi, this story. I called the doctor one day, I told him I had some pain, whatever it was. And he told me, did you do this and this? Because I already complained about this a few months ago. And I told him, no, it didn't really work out. So he tells me, so stop wasting my time and yours and continue being in pain, good luck. And he hung up on me. And then, he cares about me. He's my personal doctor. He's been Torah Yidei Shamayim. He texts me a few minutes later, and he told me, and don't call me when you're in the emergency room in a few days. So that I couldn't deal with already. So I picked up, I said, well, you have to be mean. It's enough I'm in pain. You have to make it worse. He says, sometimes in life, when a patient doesn't listen, he needs a wake-up call. Here, it worked. He called me back. Maybe this time it'll work. So I said, so why didn't you do that a few weeks ago? He said, for two reasons. First of all, I was hoping then you would listen. But now you just admitted that you didn't listen. Second of all, he says, then it was a beginning of the condition. As it gets worse, there's more risk factors involved. So when you're running out of time, we got to put more pressure to take care of it. If a person has a high fever for one day, so take some Tylenol or Advil or whatever, I don't know what. But if a person has a high fever for a few weeks already, so now you don't play around. You got to go do some blood work and see what's going on. That's not the normal way. Meaning time works against you, not for you. So you have to be totally blind not to see that we're in way past Yemot HaMashiach, like 100 times past that already. And today out of all days is the best day to say that openly with a guarantee, because Chazal say the final step is that the nations of the world are going to fight against Jerusalem. Yemach Shemam v'Shem Zichram, what they do in the darkest room in the world, the United Nations today, they fought against Jerusalem. They don't recognize that the Americans recognize Jerusalem as the Jewish capital. That means today, Baruch Hashem, we merited to finish Gog uMagog. So now, any second, Mashiach could come. It would be a shame to be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach as a Mechalel Shabbat. It could be kind of embarrassing. It would be a shame to be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach as one who doesn't dress the way the Torah says to dress. Because when Rachel Imenu is standing near you, you're going to go running away because you're going to be embarrassed. You won't be scared, you'll just be embarrassed. I wanted to attend a certain wedding one day. It was a rare occasion, but it was a big simcha. I wanted to attend. I forgot about it in the morning. I went to work. I was dressed overly casual, not just casual. At 9 o'clock at night, I was still in the office, and I said, oh my God, I wanted to go to this wedding. I didn't end up going. Why? Because I didn't have the appropriate clothes. I was embarrassed to walk in jeans and a t-shirt. It just wasn't an option. Who cares? No. You're embarrassed. That's the way it is. You wouldn't do it. Yeah, okay, we're in America. But yeah, some places do all different interesting things. Yeah, same thing. It's not. People say, Hashem's not punishing nobody. Hashem loves us. He wants us all to have the best life in the world. Stop. Technically, you'd be embarrassed. If she has to call you, you're just simply going to be embarrassed. It's a shame. Well, why be embarrassed? It's just good advice. It's friendly advice. It would be silly for no reason to have to be embarrassed. But for that, you have to be willing to be a modeh al ha'emet. You have to be willing to say, I was wrong. Yeah, I lived the wrong life for 25 years. That's not a reason to cry. That's a reason to be happy. I tell you an amazing story. I wish I remember the names of the rabbis. I read it on Shabbat in something a pamphlet that somebody gave me. I don't remember the names of the rabbis, so I'm not making up their names. I don't believe in that system. But there was one older man who went to a rabbi. This story is brought down in the sefer called Aleinu L'Shabech. It was reprinted in a pamphlet that somebody gave me. And he was 80, I think it said over there, 84 years old. Yeah, he was 84 years old, it said over there. And he asked him to check his tefillin for him, to get his checked. This guy's wearing these tefillin for who knows how many years. They get him checked and the tefillin were pasul. 84-year-old man. How do you break in the news? His tefillin are pasul. Got a heart attack from that alone. His whole life he's putting on not kosher tefillin. The rabbi, thought it over for a long time. He said, by tomorrow morning I got to give him tefillin, so I'm going to have to break him the news. So gently he starts explaining him, al pi halacha, if you didn't know it's pasul, and you meant well, and you bought kosher tefillin. You still get a mitzvah maybe. He's like trying to break him the news slowly. And the guy says, I get it. My tefillin are pasul. Rabbi, you have kosher tefillin to sell me? I want the best. Give me the best. So he gives him a pair. Sells him a pair of kosher tefillin. Mehuda, the best tefillin. And as soon as the guy gets the new tefillin, he starts dancing. The rabbi thought he lost his mind. He was expecting him to have a heart attack. And he knew he was Yirei Shamayim, so it's going to bother him. He says, what are you dancing about? He says, Rabbi, you were scared to break me the news because you were scared that I would have trouble dealing with the fact that 71 years, from my bar mitzvah, I didn't put on tefillin, kosher tefillin. He says, but I'm dancing about the fact that until my 120, at least now I will be able to put on kosher tefillin. That's what I saw in a pamphlet brought down from Aleinu L'Shabbat. What a brilliant story. Whatever age you are, you're 18, you're 20, you're 25, you're 30, you're 35, makes no difference. You're 80, whatever age you are. Dance that you still have an opportunity this Shabbat to keep. They still have an opportunity tomorrow morning to put on tefillin. Who cares what was today? Today's over, it's done, finished. Tomorrow morning you could? Dance, that's it, you have an opportunity. You can read a Perek Tehillim? Amazing. You still have a chance, you're here. Was, all those that are stuck in the past will never have a future. That's literal. All those that are stuck in their past will never have a future. That's the Yetzirah's trick. Keep you stuck back then, what I didn't do. Who cares what you didn't do? Let's find out what you could do now. That's what's important. To be modeh al ha'emet. I said, I have so much more to say on the subject, maybe next week. I said that I saw with my own eyes, meaning we knew it. In the yeshiva, this was the most known story. I wasn't born when this story happened. Maybe my father was born already, that I'm not sure. Rav Zalman Auerbach became, I don't know the year, but a whole lot of years ago, the Rosh Yeshiva in Yeshivat Kol Torah in Israel. Yeshivat Kol Torah didn't belong to the Auerbachs, it belonged to the Schlesinger family. Rav Schlesinger, the father, the Tzal, was the Rosh Yeshiva. He passed away. The current Rosh Yeshiva, Hashem Shegim Refuah Shleiman, a long, healthy life, one of the big Gedolei Yisrael, was too young to become the Rosh Yeshiva. So they took Rav Shlomo Zalman in the interim to be the Rosh Yeshiva. His first shiur that he gave in the yeshiva, number one, first day shiur. He got up and he said a shiur. And in the middle of the shiur, a boy asked a question. And he was quiet for 2 minutes, and he said he's right, and he got off the stage. First shiur, new job, new Rosh Yeshiva. This is your test, right? This is where all the boys want to see who the new Rosh Yeshiva is. Right after the shiur, the boys went over to him, some of the boys, and they answered up the question. They told him, Rabbi, why did you stop? What do you mean? You could answer either this way or that way. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman told him like this. I had 16 different answers for him on the spot. But I wasn't sure that my answers are not coming out of me protecting my image. And if it's pure Torah or not. And unless I'm 100% sure something's pure Torah, I don't give the answer. I'd rather step down. You know what he accomplished that day? He gave the boys in the yeshiva the greatest shiur possible to give. Don't be scared to say I'm wrong. Don't be scared to say I made a mistake. Bifrat, in a generation like this, where circumstances change, and as a result of circumstances that change, the Torah never changes. But the Torah sometimes says that under certain circumstances, we have to change the law. What does that mean? We don't change the law. The law says that it's changed. For example, if you drive on Shabbat, so you do millions of averot d'oraita every second. Every time you press the gas, who knows how many sparks you make, and each spark is a separate isud d'oraita v'ot v'aru esh b'chol moshvatechem yom Shabbat. Very bad idea to drive a car on Shabbat. Very, very bad. But when do you drive on Shabbat and not only you don't get a sin for it, but you actually get a mitzvah for it? If somebody's not well, needs a hospital, cholesh yesh bo sakana, you drive him to the hospital. Not only didn't you do a sin, you actually did a mitzvah, you saved a life. You're mitzil nefesh achat misrael. Gilu kiyem olam maleh, unbelievable. So did the halakha change? No. But when we have to save lives, so then the halakha says, drive on Shabbat. V'chai b'hem. When we don't have to save lives, so then the Torah says, stay away from your car on Shabbat. Or if you drive on Shabbat. Same thing. Sometimes you have a person that under his current circumstance, we have to use certain things in halakha as heterim, which are big heterim, that for a regular person, oy va'avoy if we would allow it. And there's no choice. And under those circumstances, the halakha says, it's pikuach nefesh. And if it's pikuach nefesh, you're allowed to do it. Not only you're allowed to do it, if you don't do it, you're a murderer. One of those examples is to save somebody from shmad. In halakha it says to save somebody from shmad, from giving up his Judaism, if you know for sure that you could save him, you're allowed to be mechalel Shabbat. For example, in Israel, I myself once had the merit to be part of one of these missions. Not that I'm such a hero, but they asked me to, maybe because I had American citizenship, and they were scared. I'm not sure exactly why they asked me to be part of this. To go get a Jewish girl out of an Arab town who was married to an Arab husband and had 2 kids that are Jewish al pi halakha, that are being raised as mini terrorists. Yeah, they were raised al Akbar. That's how they were raised. We have 60,000 girls like that right now in Israel. 60,000 Jewish girls like that in Israel right now. Married to Arabs, living in their towns, having kids from them. This girl asked for help. The people that know this, I don't know anything about this, but they're amazing, amazing people in an organization called Yad La'achim, Tzaddikim. Tzaddikim. They risk their lives physically every single day to save Jewish girls. Decided that they need an American guy on their team in case certain things go wrong, whatever, and that the safest time to do this operation and the best chance of success is on Friday night. And they went into Rabbi Yashiv and they asked him, what does he think? And he said, what's the question? Get into the car Friday night. They said, do we have to take a goy driver? He said, no, you're not allowed to take a goy driver. You can't trust a goyish driver that he's going to care enough to do what has to be done. Take only a Jewish driver. They said, but maybe there's a slight chance we could do it a different night. He said, but you're saying the biggest chance is to do it Friday night. So we're playing with lives here? Rabbi Yashiv was yelling at the guys when they asked him. That's called Atzil Mishmad. It's a classic case. But for that you have to know a lot of halakha. And you can't rely on yourself. Because when you rely on yourself, of course you have a big heart and you want to save somebody. You have to ask a posek who's detached from that situation, who knows the halakha objectively, and each case is an individual case-by-case question in halakha. There's no two that are the same. To see what to do, when to do, where to do, and how to do. And many times the posek doesn't understand the story right away. So if he's a real posek, he's going to say, I'm sorry, I don't know nothing about these type of things. I can't answer you. Not every person who knows a lot of halakha knows a lot about teens on drugs. Not every person who knows a lot in midrash knows a lot about psychiatric issues. And it takes a lot of honesty to say, it is a field that I know nothing about. I'll try to find you an expert that does know something about it. It comes with years and years of experience and a lot of shimush of many people that did it for years before. It's not something that can be done freely. And today, advice is just given freely. Boom, 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 like nothing. And leave avoid what the result of that advice is. Remember what Rav Shach says, before you give your friend advice, you have to make sure that after 120, when you're going to come to Olam Haba, your advice is still valid. And if you're not 100% sure, stay quiet. And on that, Chazal say, Siag lachochma shtika. You want to be smart? Stay quiet. Because if you're going to give free, wrong advice, you're just going to harm people on many levels. It's just not going to work. Rav Shteiman, as the great giant and leader of Am Yisrael, was Oman Hashtika. He was the master of silence. He knew to stay quiet. And that's a level that's so great to know how to say. I don't know, go to Reb Chaim. I don't know, go to Rabbi Yashiv. I don't know, go here. I don't know, go there. You know how many times he said that to people? Now that they're printing stories from him already and all these pamphlets are coming out, there's so many stories that are exactly the same. And I suspect that in many of the cases he did know. But he wanted to give over this legacy. Be willing to agree. But we end off with one thought. Ata yoducha achecha. Yoducha means like they'll praise you. Hoda'ah is a praise. Hoda'ah also means to admit. In Lashon HaKodesh, if there's a word that can go two ways, or a shoresh of a word that can go two ways, it's not a coincidence, it's a reason. What's the reason? So I saw in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, I don't remember which sefer, but one of these recent Sfarim that I got, that he writes an amazing thing. He says the only person that could really praise God and thank God is one who's honest enough to admit that everything's from Hashem. If you're not honest enough to admit that when your head hurts, it's not because you didn't sleep well, it's because Hashem decided now you should have a headache, so you'll never be honest enough to admit that all the good you have in your life comes from Hashem also. And that's why Hoda'ah, to be willing to admit, is Hoda'ah is what's going to cause you one day to praise Hashem in the greatest way. Because Baruch Hu should help שנלך מחיל אל חיל, בביאת גואל במהרה, בנחת ובשמחה, amen ואמן. Donnie and Marina Baruchov are standing by the door, so before you walk out, you sign up for the seminar.